Who to toss to? Mike Seidel. Here's that band we've been talking about. Mike, take it away, Fort Pierce.
Yeah, Brian, we're getting hit pretty hard right now, gusting up to 40. Very, very heavy rain. Look down the street, how the visibility has come down, and you can see the blowing rain over the hotels here in Fort Pierce. We're just on the other side, the west side of I-95. And on the radar, you can see what we're getting into for quite a while now. And this is where we could get those hurricane force gusts at some point, say in the next 3 to 4 hours. And that means more power out. Already now, we're up to 66,000 customers, according to Florida Power, have lost their electricity from Hurricane Matthew. And a guy who's been through many storms, especially a lot of severe weather, Doug Kiesling, is out and about at Satellite Beach up near the Cocoa Beach Space Coast area, which we'll get it certainly later on tonight. Doug, what have you seen riding around tonight in the Cocoa Beach area? We can hear you. We've got you on the phone. We've also got your live camera up right now, Doug.
Yeah, Mike, I'm just actually south of Patrick Air Force Base. I came riding it out while I'm out chasing the storm. So there's really no other plan for it, just to hunker down right now.
And no doubt shooting video for us, Doug. Doug, thanks very much for the report there from the Cocoa Beach area. As the wind and rain starts to really pick up here in Fort Pierce, let's go down the coast about 45 miles. Juno Beach, which is north of the Palm Beaches, and still the wind onshore there. Ron Blom, I don't know what you're getting there, but I'm sure it's wind and rain. And I know you've already been hit by gusts over 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, we're getting a face full of water right now. In fact, it's almost like staring into a 3D movie of a...
Ron, Mike Seidel again back here. It's hard to hear what's going on between the wind and the rain. Tell us what you've seen around the hotel. Are there people staying inside? Are there a lot of looky-loos that come outside? We've seen a couple folks out here tonight, but again, we haven't had the kind of wind that you've had there in Juno Beach.
Let's jump back up the beach 45 miles or so to Fort Pierce. Mike Seidel. Mike, take it away.
Okay, Ron, and we just got latest word from the National Hurricane Center. The hurricane hunters out of Keesler are flying in and out. We couldn't do it without them. And Brian Norcross, what's the word there on the pressure at this point? Because it keeps dropping. You got to wonder if the winds are going to increase in the 11 o'clock update here in a few minutes.
Boy, you have to wonder, Mike, because we don't have a definitive pressure, but we have an estimated pressure. We're just going to keep an eye on that. All right, Mike Seidel, stand by for this more intense part of the storm coming your way here, certainly within the half hour, I would say, and we'll stand by here for the new advisory. Back to you.
Okay, Brian, let's go back up the beach and check in on Doug Kiesling's picture. He's in Satellite Beach, and he's already seeing debris on the road. We've seen some palm fronds down here in the Fort Pierce area, but certainly we haven't seen anything significant. Nothing's been uprooted. We haven't seen any shingles off roofs because the winds have not gusted over 40 miles an hour here in Fort Pierce. By the way, earlier today we had this problem. A woman was rescued down in Broward County. That's a few counties south of here, because her car hydroplaned and she ended up in the intercoastal. Now she's okay, and this is video of them trying to get the car out of the intercoastal. But another good reason to stay home, because with this kind of rainfall rate with these squalls, you got a lot of ponding, and you hit one of these puddles at a high rate of speed, and you don't even need to be at a high rate of speed. You know what happens. You just lose control of your vehicle and you can run off the road. I saw one vehicle in the ditch coming up 95 from Lauderdale late morning and early afternoon. So that's another reason to stay home tonight. Let this thing move on through, and we'll get it out of the way. Certainly in South Florida, certainly by noon tomorrow, those winds will begin to back off, and things should start to open up, especially the airport operations at Miami International and Fort Lauderdale. Mayor Rick Scott has been all over this. He declared a state of emergency for the entire state, even though we know you in the Panhandle are looking over and saying, hey, what hurricane? Because you're way too far to the west. But he was in front of the microphone and the cameras not long ago.
It's here. It's absolutely here. It's not very far off the coast of Palm Beach. We're already starting to see the impacts, and it's a monster. Again, our #1 priority is protecting every life in this state. I think about my grandchildren, my daughters, my son-in-law, my wife. I want everybody to survive this. We can rebuild homes, we can rebuild businesses. I just think of my own family. We can't rebuild a life.
We say that all the time. Get to higher ground, get to a safe spot, whether it's a hurricane or a tornado or even a really bad nor'easter with a surge. It's just better to be safe than sorry. You can replace those material things. Brian Norcross, what do we know now? What's the latest on Matthew as I get slapped by another gust from the hurricane?
All right, Mike, one just quick mention on the radar is the hurricane hunters continue here, and in this northern part of this outer eye wall,
you're looking at West Palm Beach live tonight. Hurricane Matthew off the coast, and the worst of the weather heading in there in the next hour or so, the outer eye wall. Palm trees getting blown by the wind, and no doubt we've had power knocked out. 66,000 customers at last check here in the lack of sunshine state. But the sun will start popping back out tomorrow afternoon, certainly in Broward and Miami-Dade counties. By the way, in Broward County, they've changed it from a hurricane warning to a tropical storm warning because the stronger winds are now going to stay off to your north with Matthew moving away from south of Florida. Speaking of the power of wind, this is what happened earlier today in Nassau in the Bahamas from Matthew as it came through the Bahamas over the past day or so. Winds gusting over 100 miles an hour, and look what happened with this house.
Dude, that coming straight. Oh, holy. Dude, pressure on this window, I don't trust it. No, I can't aim my pressure here. It's that side I'm worried about.
Well, there you go. The wind taking the roof off that house. Down in the Caribbean, back in Cuba when I was there earlier in the week, what they do there, because of the poor construction, the aluminum roofs, they take sandbags and they don't put them in the front by the front door. They're more concerned about losing the roof. They put sandbags all over the roof to try to save the roofs. Fortunately, only the eastern end of the Guantanamo province in Cuba had a serious impact from Matthew. Now let's get in Brian Norcross. And Brian, it's that time of the night where we keep hitting refresh on the computer to get the latest. Is the 11 o'clock advisory in from the National Hurricane Center?
it's not in, and I'm going to check the radar in just 1 second, Mike, and I want to tell you what the hurricane hunters have found. It'll be